If you're asking the question, is an open relationship healthy? I'm going to answer that question for you here. Now, in order for you to be able to consider what is healthy and what is unhealthy for you, you want to be able to make the distinction what is healthy and what is unhealthy. So let's first make that contrast of what is an unhealthy aspect of a relationship for you to be able to consider whether or not an open relationship is actually healthy for you. Number one thing that you want to consider when it comes to health in a relationship is the aspect of possessiveness, or the behavior of possessiveness, and the concept of ownership. Ownership is not something that exists in nature. Nothing belongs to anything. And a person cannot be property of anyone. You are not property of anyone. In the realistic sense, in the objective sense, no one can be property. In the fantastical sense, you may like to be, property of your beloved. In the fantastical sense, and that's all fine and good and great, as long as you recognize that objectively, no one can be property of anyone. Now, you might say, well, you're too realistic, you're not romantic. Romance is fantasy. I was a professional Dom, and what I did for a living was delve into fantasy. I'm very good at it. Fantasy is just that. It's fantastic. And the idea of ownership, while it's great, you must appreciate first and foremost psychologically that no one can be property of anyone. Otherwise, you get into a lot of the other things I'm going to talk about. So the other thing that is unhealthy in a relationship, and what most people consider as healthy, think about that. A lot of people consider this as healthy behavior in a relationship, which is pretty crazy. And that idea is called jealousy. A lot of people imagine that jealousy is a healthy thing in a relationship, and in fact is a prerequisite of a loving relationship. Think about that. Some people think that jealousy is required for love. I beg to differ tremendously. Jealousy is your ego screaming at you, saying, if I gave my beloved the choice, he or she might not choose to return to me. So I have to create rules so that they don't have any option, so that they cannot ever stray. I'm going to prevent them from wearing sexy clothing. I'm going to prevent them from talking to the opposite sex. I'm going to watch who they talk to on their phone. I'm going to get their passwords. See how that correlates with possessiveness, ownership, and jealousy. Jealousy is your ego screaming at you, saying, if I gave my beloved the choice, he or she may not choose to return to me. At which point you realize that if somebody didn't want to be with you, why in the hell would you keep them from doing the things they'd like? Why would anyone imprison someone to you if they're not choosing to, wanting to, or liking to every time? In fact, I take it a little bit further. I ensure in my relationship that they have choice, which is what an open relationship is. Because in an open relationship, you have a primary, you have your beloved, and the only reason they're ever with you, the only reason they're ever going to be with you is because they want to and like to every single time out of all of their options. Out of all of my options, I'm with my beloved. Out of all of her options, which she has many, she's with me. And there's no more gratifying feeling than that. The third thing that is unhealthy in a relationship is the death knell of a relationship when you grant yourself to somebody and they grant themselves to you. The inevitable result, is that you and they feel and be taken for granted. Let me say that again. If I grant myself to my beloved and they grant themselves to you exclusively, there's no other way, there's no other result than you're both being and feeling taken for granted. Now, some people say that, Rone, you're so adamant about being in an open relationship. What if you grow old and you grow old alone? What prevents you from growing old alone? I will answer that in two parts. Number one is that if I'm growing old and the only reason somebody is with me is because they're gelded to me, because they're my property, not because of their choosing to and wanting to, I might as well be dead. If the only reason people are paying you attention and being with you and hanging out with you and having any conversation with you is because you're getting older, you might as well be dead. Because they're not choosing to. The other answer to that question is that if I'm going to grow old, which is inevitable, and my best friend is gonna grow old, and that's inevitable, then guess what? We're gonna grow old at the same time. And we're gonna grow old together. Now, as we're growing old and they're with me, they're spending time with me, she's spending time with me, and because it's her choosing to and wanting to every time, because I deserve it, because I'm a fantastic person, because she is fulfilled being with me, isn't that the most gratifying and wonderful thing ever? Now, let me answer the question. Is an open relationship healthy? I'll answer that very, very clearly. Any relationship which all relationships have no endurance unless it's open. Open relationship is the healthiest thing you can explore and practice. If you like this video, click the like button, click the thumbs up, and comment below. Let me know what you think. Is an open relationship healthy? What do you think? Share in the comments below. I'd love to conversate with you there, and subscribe to my page and share this video with other people. I appreciate that, and I'll talk to you on the next video.